In this presentation, I'm going to analyze what it means to think like an economist. Let's start this by developing a simple theory or build a simple model which tries to explain why students get high exam scores. Now, there are plenty of explanations, as most of us understand because most of us done exams, like, for instance, the number of hours of study. If the more you do, the higher the score. A student's intelligence may be important, or possibly whether they're good at communicating their understanding. And there are other factors like good teaching, and maybe they have some corrupt behavior if you get hold of the exam, may improve your score, etc. Today, we're going to analyze what it means for an economist to develop a simple theory. And the theory today is going to be about exam marks and the number of hours of study a week. So the theory would start out, an economist would start out by saying, ceteris paribus, examination marks are positively related to the number of hours of study a week. Now, economists start any theory with this term ceteris paribus, which simply means all other factors remaining the same, examination marks are positively related to the number of hours of study a week. Remember, this is not based on fact, but at this stage is simply a theory. So, what does thinking like an economist imply in relation to this theory? Well, first we have to build the theory. We've already given it, so we will now develop that theory, and then once we've got the theory, we analyze and evaluate its theoretical implications, test whether the theory applies to the real world, and then formulate policies which we can do once we have that theory as a kind of a backdrop. Okay, now anybody who's read an economics book will know that economists use graphs quite extensively. So you really do need to understand what graphs are and what they mean, because economists use them to explain the theories they develop. We're going to use one today to try and explain what the relationship between the number of hours of study and exam scores. So we start by putting the independent variable, which is the number of hours of study a week, on the horizontal axis, and the dependent variable, which in this case is final exam percentage, on the vertical axis, 20, 40, 60, etc. Then we draw a line which gives us a theoretical relationship between these two variables. Notice this is theoretical. We have no facts. We are theorizing that there is a positive relationship between the two, and it shows that the more hours that are spent working or studying will yield higher exam scores. If we start to analyze this line a little bit more carefully, we notice that the theory is suggesting that zero amount of study will still give students 20% on average for the exam. Now again, this is not fact, it's just a theory at this stage, and economists argue that the ceteris paribus conditions, intelligence, good teaching, etc., we listed earlier, would be captured in that distance 0 to that intercept point. Of course, this line could be positioned anywhere. I've just stuck it there just to illustrate my point. And then once we've established that, we then add the impact of studying on the exam score. So we add an extra 40 marks after 6 hours to give 60%, and a further 80 marks to arrive at 100% after 12 hours of study a week. Now, if we look at this further, we notice that the gain in exam marks is the same for every hour of study. We know this because we can ascertain it from the slope of the line. So slopes are also something that are important for students to understand when interpreting graphs. So for instance, if you have 6 extra hours of study, the gain according to this theory would be an extra 40%, which gives a ratio of 40 divided by 6, or 6.6% for every hour of extra study. However, if you analyze it further, another 6 hours will give it exactly the same, which is an extra 40%, which amounts to 6.67 extra marks for each hour of study extra that the student will undertake. Now, that doesn't seem terribly realistic, and we need to analyze that in our next presentation.